talk show is brought to you by Health Plans, your Medicare plans, insurance solutions, and resource agency. We have a variety of plans and products that fit your needs, benefit requirements, and budget, with many low or no-cost premium plans, zero co-pays, and much more. Our licensed benefits advisor's priority is your health and well-being. Call us today and book your no-obligation consultation. 1-929-367-5269.
Folks, welcome back to the NBC Network, iHealth Radio, the iHealth channel, with your host, Hurricane H. New day, new show. Great topic, and a topic that everyone watching and listening right now, this is something you've been seeking all your life, probably still working and looking for it, and you will never stop looking for this particular discussion we're going to have today. And I think today, we're literally going to rewire you. And, not pun intended, we'll talk about that rewire business in a minute. But this is about you and how, as all of us out here in the world, are seeking the one thing, which is happiness. It's not easy. But I have with me someone today that actually has found the formula, the magic, roadmap, how to get it there. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff and the different steps and so on and so forth. With me, I have a business coach, a life coach. I mean, she's really, she does a lot of work. She's a writer, author, and her book is just such a powerful tool that you can use. And so I can only do so much to give her the credit that she deserves. So without any further ado, I have with me Zahra Karsan, and she is phenomenal, and she worked with top executives worldwide. She's bestseller. You name it, she has it. The bio will be actually on the description show, so check it out and all the links. And we'll talk about that later. So without any further ado, Zahra, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you, Hisham, Hurricane.
Both work. Hisham, John, Hurricane, I get all of them. So they're all me. Well, no, thank you so much. I mean, I know the work you do is great stuff, and you've done this over the years, and you've helped a lot of people really find, themselves. And I know you have also this whole, you're the CEO of GetZEND, and so we're going to talk about how that evolved into that. So again, we all know the Zen moment and all that stuff. So let's break it down. First things first. Who is Zahra? How did it, how did you get to this point, and what motivated you to really, start the company as well as write the book?
Well, thank you. Well, that's probably going to be a pretty long answer. As you said, so my name is Zahra Karsan. I'm an author and I'm a success coach, and I am the CEO of a company called GetZEND. I have a background in neuroscience and positive psychology and executive coaching and consulting. And I used to work on really large projects and worked as a trusted advisor to C-level executives, and then started a coaching practice. And I started to see patterns in my coaching practice where, people didn't really have a good sense of what it was that made them happy. They were just sort of chasing goals. And I knew that was true in my life. We're given, if you really think about it, are we given a formula or a set of life skills that gear us towards happiness as we go through life? I don't really know anyone like that. When I grew up, we had a set of pretty basic marching orders. It was do well in school, pick a college and university, pick a major, or pick a trade and pick a job, and find a career, work your way up in the corporate ladder, or start a business, get a family, get the spouse, get the house, get the car, get the dogs, get the kids. Where is happiness in that very basic set of instructions? So I think unknowingly, it programmed us to be goal-oriented, which is a good thing, because that means we're driven towards a specific target and we can achieve that. Great. But when I started working with my clients, I became fascinated with the fact that as I was working with their goals and helping them to map out a plan to achieve them, when we went into that moment to visualize the end state, pardon me, very few of them could actually tell me if it was going to bring them any closer to happiness. And I thought, so let me get this straight. We've just spent hours coaching. You've hired me as a coach to work out your life plan and help you find greater joy, freedom, success, freedom from worry, certainty, and that feeling that you're finally getting it right, finally doing it right. And you can't even tell me that this goal is going to bring you any closer to joy or freedom from worry or financial abundance or more love and connection. So why are we working towards this? And I realized most of us don't actually have a roadmap to happiness. So that's the first piece. I decided to just take a step back with my clients, and I gave this to them as homework. And I'm going to give it to your audience as well as a free ebook to download, where you can literally map out what it is specifically for you. And you talked about this a little in your intro, is what it means to be true to yourself, what it means to be authentically you and live a life according to what makes you happy, because it's a very personalized answer. It's not one size fits all. What you like to do in the gym is not the same as what I like to do in the gym. How you like to eat is going to be different than how I like to eat. The foods and the things that make you happy aren't the same things that are going to excite me. And so it has to be really personal. And so this helps you sort of map that out. And so I became fascinated with what is that winning formula towards happiness and success? And it includes health, doesn't it? Because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So we need energy to get through the day. And yeah, most of us wake up so tired. So I became fascinated with like that winning formula. What is that gap between most of us that get stuck in life and the very few that seem to know the secrets to happiness? Because we've all met those people, right? They have like a shininess about them, like a little sparkle in their eyes. I met John Travolta once, and he was one of those people for sure. And I was just, when you meet those people, you're so attracted to that energy and that light. And then the other group of people that manage to achieve great, great success, like what separates them from the rest? And I figured out kind of what that formula was for me. And then I started seeing it and started using it in my coaching practice. And I thought, this is it. Now, I'm your biggest skeptic, right? So I need something to be powerful and fast, and I need to see results really quickly. Otherwise, I will not buy. And so I thought, why don't I build this powerful set of tools that people can retrain themselves back to balance, away from stress and fear, and actually rewire back to happiness and success. And so I created this 6-week program called the REWIRE system, which is in the book, 6 Weeks to Happy. And so I'm excited to share it with you and your audience today.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of stuff in that brief 5 minutes here. But so I want to really dissect it, because you hit on some powerful words. And I think, we just ought to take some time to break out some of those words. You talked about we all have this directive in life, the minute, and I think most of us, maybe not all of us, but most of us have that same formula. You gotta do good in school, get grades, high school, college, get the stuff, and then get a job, get a career, did this. And that, I think everybody's been almost hypnotized to that fact, to that process. I mean, through movies, through culture, doesn't matter what part of the world. I think that's standard. And then that's what we're taught, to do or to look forward. But to your point, happiness is a big question. Does that even equate happiness? Do you even get happiness doing all that stuff, or you just get stressed all along the way and you still, struggle to not get happiness? And then you mentioned something about success. Now, is success happiness? Are successful people always happy? That's the other thing. I mean, and what is success? It varies from one person to the other. Happiness in itself is a joy feeling, something that fulfills you. To your point, what works for you doesn't work for me. I mean, some people may be happy with just, waking up and just enjoying the day, not doing anything. Some people cannot do that. They'll thrive and be happy to do some more stuff. But again, that's the $1 trillion question, because we need to figure that out. And I think you did that. So you created this system to really kind of, we do the homework, we break it down, and then we kind of figure out, oh, wait a minute, these are the things that will drive me, that will get me to that point. Am I getting that right so far?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is partly personal and it is partly universal. I think of it as the science of being human. What is that? What is this all for? Why are we here? Why are we working so hard to make money to pay the bills? And then finding that brief moment of joy or freedom or playtime most of us are really just too tired all of the time just to manage our lives. And so there's got to be more. And so you asked a couple of interesting questions. How do you define success and how do you define happiness? Well, I think in past, success used to be defined as, money, fame, and power. But I think these days we are more mature, we're more emotionally mature. And we realize that happiness includes some measure of success, but success can live without happiness. We've all seen a lot of wealthy people that aren't terribly happy, or, great, wonderful, lively people that you would want to spend any great amount of time with. So I think you have to kind of figure it out for yourself. And so I became fascinated with both sides, that personal side that I talked about. What is your unique formula? Who are you really? What are the things that really light you up, that really excite you and make you feel like you're living your best life? Because it's going to be different for your spouse and your sibling and your colleague and your friend. And then what are the commonalities? What is that experience of being human? And what I came to realize was we actually evolved to be really good at survival. Even the way that our brains have evolved, they evolved in three separate parts. The first part is the reptilian brain, and it responds to stress and fight or flight, and it keeps us safe. The second part is the mammalian brain, and it developed over time, and it's where we house our emotions and our memories. And then the third part is where we do our critical thinking. So already you can see that there are three parts kind of in conflict, which sort of describes how we're going through life. And so we're so good at survival, in fact, that our very nature can sometimes be counter to our goals towards happiness and success. And so I thought, what is this thing? What is this pattern that I keep seeing? We've all heard of what limiting beliefs are, but what are they really? And so I came to realize we are 5% conscious mind, 95% subconscious, unconscious. Many of us have heard this before, but what does that mean really? Well, if you think you're in control of your life and how you think and feel from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep, it's not true. You're living in that 5%. Most of your day is running on autopilot. Just think about it. You wake up in the morning. Most of us are tired. You don't wake up rested, so you're already stressed. And then you start meandering through your house. Maybe you hit the shower first. Maybe you brew some coffee first. And then your thought pattern starts, right? And what is that thought pattern? Oh, I wish I had more sleep. Oh, what do I have today? What's going on with the family? Do the kids have sports? What's going on at the job? Do I have a presentation? Do I have a meeting to prep for? And so you already start cycling through your day and you start getting what? Stressed, a little anxious. And so then those thoughts and those feelings get wired together. And that becomes your superhighway in the brain, because the brain is designed to be efficient. So it wants to run on autopilot. And the unconscious mind is designed to keep you safe and protected. Great, wonderful things. We want to continue to be alive. So that is fabulous. But what about human potential? What about that untapped part of us that wants to experience real love and connection? I don't just mean being in a relationship. I mean that feeling of being like adored and cherished and absolutely knowing that you are loved and supported 100% by those people around you. And very few of us get to experience that because we are disconnected from ourselves. We're running this little survival story called something like, I'm alone, or I don't have any support in this world, or I don't deserve love. And so then how does that play out in your relationships, for example? Are you fully able to be present, to live and love wholeheartedly? But then how does it show up at work too? If you feel like you don't have support, are you going to rely on your business partner or your team? So just tapping into what are those universal human stories that live in our unconscious programming? And I realized the trick is we need to learn how to bring those out into the light so that we can start to integrate that 5% conscious mind and that 95% subconscious, unconscious. And when we do that, we tap into our real source of power. That becomes unlimited. Then we become unleashed. And that's a beautiful thing.
Wow. This is deep. This is getting deep. So you clearly stated something that we all experience, which is to what you said, we survive. We're in the survival mode. I mean, we have these things that we've been conditioned to do. we're not really thrilled about them, but we do them anyways because it's part of, you have to do this, you have to pay the bills and stuff. Life has become really just happens, and we just have to roll, with the punches, as they say, and just kind of go into it, the motions. And every day it's really the same monotonous routine, day in, day out. And it repeats itself, and we become almost like zombies, and it's a challenge for a lot of us. It's hard to get out of that pattern. And Monday, and the best example I would say, like Monday, oh my God, it's Monday, and then Friday, TGIF, everybody's excited,
that Monday morning feeling.
Exactly, and then the weekend's like happy weekends, like, oh damn, oh shit, it's Monday. Sorry about the friendship, but it's really unfortunate, but that's how, and the days repeat themselves literally over and over and over. It doesn't matter, you move from one job to the other, life, this, that. You're looking forward to that vacation, then you get up in that vacation and you just run into the vacation, and you're not really happy in the vacation. and this is like something that I think everybody's watching and listening right now can relate to. It's not like, we're not throwing something that is unique. It is something we experience. Doesn't matter what level, how much money do you have. I think most of us are into that, somewhere in that spectrum where we are living these things. And you mentioned early on about goals, right? Now, I wanted to ask, is happiness a goal? Is that the ultimate goal? Ultimately, we can say, for me, for example, that is an objective, right? I want to be happy. I think everybody wants to be happy. So we can define maybe as a goal. But or is happiness, itself, built with goals? so that's a unique perspective.
That's an interesting question.
So in your work, in your discovery of to this stage where you were able to write this book and figured out this, and you talked about the subconscious, which is, to your point, that's where a lot of stuff is happening. We don't use a lot of our brain capacity. we all hear that story, right? We all hear that the mind is, humans don't use much of their brains, just a small potential, and the rest of it is just happening into like hypnosis mode, and and everything else is rewired at the back end. We don't even realize what we're doing sometimes. We just do them by default because it's like autopilot, as you said. And so you've dug deep into this, and you've met with a lot of people. You've coached a lot of people. What are some of the similar patterns that you've noticed at different levels? Because I know you've coached a lot of folks, and So if you can just highlight some of the similarities, that really kind of like almost highlight themselves. And of course, to your point, everybody's unique in its way or in their way. And then take us into that realm. Like you created the REWIRE system, and so I believe that's an acronym. So we're gonna break that down, right? So let's talk about that.
So, well, great question. So, and there's a lot to unpack in that.
I know. Sorry about that.
No, it's good. I love it. So, okay. So the patterns that I started seeing became even more peculiar and interesting because I was working with, we're talking executives of multinationals, right? They're managing billion-dollar companies, some of them multi-million-dollar companies. And I started to realize it didn't matter if you were a middle manager or a student or a senior executive or a massive global CEO, we all have the same basic set of insecurities and limiting beliefs that are holding us back. So in the CEO's instance, they've managed to achieve a great level of professional success, but I always think of us in two lanes. There's our professional self and there's our personal self. So if they've achieved a great level of professional success, have they been able to carry that over into their personal lives? And in most cases, no. I would see gaps in how they manage their management team based on insecurity, how they manage their, were they able to have successful relationships in their personal life? Did they have healthy boundaries? Were they stretched between too many, strange people just wanting a piece of their success? And what I came to realize was every single human being that I managed to coach fell into one of 5 categories of limiting beliefs. So there's a limiting belief. And again, so the limiting belief is what is housed in your unconscious, and it's the unconscious story we tell ourselves to explain how we want to interact with the world. We don't consciously choose it because nobody would say, oh, I'd love to have that feeling of not feeling good enough again. Nobody wants that. But we all know that experiences because we're all human. And so how does that play out in your life? And how did some people push past it is what I really wanted to understand. And how do I push past it so I can teach people how to do that? So the 5 categories of limiting beliefs are attached to patterns of behavior. I call them fear patterns because they're really rooted in fear. If you think of survival, it's all designed to keep you safe, to keep you alive. That's great. But in the unhealthy way, what is it stopping you? What is it stopping you from? It's stopping you from real love and connection. I mean, how many people have that experience of walking into a room full of people and feeling totally alone? That's not a nice feeling, right? So how could we open up ourselves to feel a different level of connection with wherever we go, whatever room we walk into? And so the 5 categories, we probably won't get through all 5 today, but I'll give you a couple of examples. So one is that I'm not enough. Many of us have heard what that feels like. I'm not smart enough, not capable enough, but it doesn't always sound like that. What does it sound like if you're a corporate employee and you want to do something different, like be a radio show host like yourself, or, do something that's a little out in left field or a little unconventional? It's going to sound like, I don't know if I have the ability. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I'll be good at it. I don't know if I'm capable enough, right? So that's kind of how it would play out. And so how does that play out next? So now your fear patterns are saying, oh, I'm not sure if we want to go down this road and accept this new challenge. It's more efficient to just stay where we are. We know this place. We're in this little comfortable spot. I know this job. I know this world. I know my bills are paid. So how do you move beyond that initial inertia and rewrite your story a little bit so that you can move beyond? So another one is, I'm alone in this world, feeling like I have no support. Now, again, it's not going to sound like that. It's going to sound something like, and I'm sure you know somebody in your life that has said this to you. It might even be you. I know it was me, where I said, if I want anything done right, I have to depend on myself.
I've been there. I don't think anyone can deny that. We all said that at a point in our life.
The strongest of us know what this feels like. Now, on the good side, yes, it keeps you safe and it gives you drive. And guess what? That feeling of being alone made you incredibly strong. It made you unbelievably resilient. It taught you how to be resourceful and how to navigate the trickiest of situations, all good things. But then when it stops you, is your job to know when it becomes unhealthy. So how does that show up in relationship? If you have an unconscious story telling you that you're alone and you don't have support in this world, now you're in a loving relationship. This person desperately wants to be there for you, wants to be your loving partner, but you have a story that keeps on running that says, I'm alone, I don't have the support I need. We all know what that feels like, right? To be in a relationship that doesn't feel fulfilling, that doesn't feel like it gives you the love and support and the partnership you need. And so how do you remove those mental and emotional barriers that are living in your unconscious story? And that's what this is all bringing about. And so in the book, I map out these 5 different categories and all of the different scenarios and how they can show up. Because the major magic about this is all you have to do is see it. If you can just see what your unconscious patterns are, you have power over it. And that's the genius of it. You don't have to make any massive changes in your life, but just by recognizing, oh my gosh, this is how I behave in this scenario. This is why this played out this way in my last relationship. And guess what? Until you heal it and until you bring it into your conscious awareness, your unconscious is going to keep presenting it in your life until you see it.
So that is very important to highlight, because I think one of the most common things that we all make as humans is that we don't stop to think and reflect. We just keep going. And I don't know if many people would actually take a minute to pause and just say, like, well, let me rethink my life. Let me see what I'm doing. How am I doing? We don't evaluate ourselves as we go. We just, you mentioned something about the top success folks or executives. And the way that a lot of times that success is really built upon destruction in a way, meaning that, on the depends of family, time with your family, your loved ones, your kids, your parents sometimes when you're younger. And then time is moving so fast, before you know it, you missed a lot of things. And, you've missed on people, you've missed on even moments. I mean, we see these on movies all the time where, oh, I didn't see my first child's walking. I didn't see their first bike ride. Because where I was in the meeting, I was in the conference. I mean, these are things that scenarios we see in movies, but they reflect real life, events where we all are guilty of a degree or another somewhere. If you're working, there's a good chance you're going to be addicted to that job, or you're going to be slave to the job for, to a degree or another. And because you have no choice, again, you're being conditioned. That's the only way. And you're right. Whether you're working or you have a business, both can be difficult, and both roads can be very, very, demanding and taking you away from life. So the balance itself is very difficult. But you don't know. Your body is going to claim it by stress, pain. You're going to feel all the emotions. You're going to be,
Yes.
really not very happy, and then you complain a lot, or you take it on some other stuff. Sometimes people take it to the wrong extreme and get into drugs and, God forbid, some other stuff. And so there's different, but the key here is that let's take a moment, let's pause and reflect. We talk about self-talk. There's different, podcasts out there and show, that shows that discuss just that part and how you reflect and talk and pump yourself, and also surrounding yourself with the people that can eventually guide you. Or just like this, using the book, a tool, a guide, somebody that has done the work. And now, but again, if they don't know about the book, they're not going to actually read the book and figure it out. I mean, luckily we're doing this, and you're doing the job and the work, and you put out there, and it's way out there. But really, that's a big problem for a lot of us, is that we are not standing, alone for a minute and just like, well, sitting somewhere and just like, wait a minute, maybe some. I'm not going to say everybody. There's got to be some people that take that moment, but the majority of us, I doubt it.
You're absolutely right. And, we're in this space of you don't know what you don't know, right? So where do you even begin to explore? Everyone has the experience of being in a relationship that ended, and then taking some time to sort of think about and reflect what went wrong, what was my part, what was their part. And we come to some sort of understanding, and then we put the rest in a box and we shelf it. And guess what? We meet the next relationship, and a similar pattern is going to play out until you've kind of figured out what was your part in that? What was your story that was running in your unconscious that stopped that relationship from being successful? Now, maybe it wasn't your person and it was just meant to be a lesson, but then why the lesson? Well, I think the lesson is because we are all meant to evolve. The part of this thing about being human is to be the best version of ourselves, is to understand how many different layers we have so that we can tap into our greatest potential. And I think most people aren't given the tools because, well, they're not taught in school. So where are you going to learn them? You're going to learn them in a yoga class or a weekend retreat or multiple books or 30 years of study like I did, and I stumbled upon a pattern, and I said, this is what I really want to give people, because I was searching for these tools and an understanding of who I am and why it's so difficult to find this thing called happiness, and why when I achieved my goals, like I really thought I chased all of the goals. I thought I had a beautiful, successful life as a management consultant and corporate coach, and I was just burnt out. And I thought, I've done everything right. By any other outside source looking at me, they would have said, oh, she has an idyllic life. She has more than enough money. She has a lot of fun. She travels. She has great adventures. She has a good, good career, good job, good people around her. But something inside me was just missing. And so I set out to say, there's more than this. What does that more mean? And what's included in that? And that's why I went down the field of so many different fields of study, because I wanted to understand the data. I wanted to understand the brain and how the brain works, and what are thoughts, and what is the brain versus the mind, and what is a human being, and what is the soul journey, and what does soul evolution even mean, and why do some people not care about it, and so many people are stumbling their way through it. And I realized we are meant to grow and evolve. We are meant to discover our own inner power and step into that. And I realized that I was going to make it my life's work to teach people the tools so that they can understand the science of happiness, and then figure out how to change their wiring. Because if our very nature is geared towards survival, and we're striving and have goals towards happiness and success, when do they come together? And here's what I realized, is that your conscious mind, that 5% of you, is the one that's setting your goals. So it's the goal setter. The unconscious part of you, that 95% of you, is the goal getter. So if they're working on different teams, how is that ever going to work? You know, we all know to be in the best shape of your life, we know what that winning formula is, don't we? Sleep, hydrate, but mainly exercise, nutrition, right? And yet, why do so many of us struggle? And that last 10 pounds is torturous, like to be in the best optimal shape. So it's more than just the formula. What is it that's stopping us? You know, what is this process? And so I was fascinated with, why does the brain need a hit of dopamine and tells me to go eat chocolate when I really want to, you know, lose that last 3 pounds? Like, why is this so much struggle between my goal and achieving it? And sometimes it just feels like I'll never reach it. And I think what I came to realize is that a lot of people have a similar experience. And so I thought, what are the tools we need to unlock? What are the keys we need to unlock and really integrate the conscious and unconscious so that we can live better, we can live more powerfully, and wake up instead of feeling tired, wake up feeling peaceful and excited and joyful about our day. And so that's how I set out to do this. And I created the REWIRE system because there's this phenomenon called neuroplasticity. And in the world of neuroscience, we have come to realize really over the last 30 years that the brain is not actually static. It's changeable and it's malleable. And in fact, it's so powerful that your brain will actually dismantle resources from a particular thought and feeling pattern in as little as 10 minutes and reallocate it to a new set of minds. So if you're trying to formulate a new mindset and you're waking up on autopilot, you're running on your unconscious, right? We'll call it the unconscious highway, if you will. So you wake up and that thought feeling pattern is, I'm so tired. I'm not sure I'm going to get through my day. Oh my gosh, what's going on today? The stress and the anxiety starts. And what happens with the emotions? Well, then you have a physical, visceral response as well. What does stress and anxiety feel like in your body? Your chest gets tight, your breathing gets shallower, you get tension in your neck and shoulders, right? You start walking and behaving differently because your body's holding on to all of that mental and emotional stress, and now it's become physical stress. So how do you pull that out? And what are all of the tools in order for you to retrain back to calm? And so what we came to realize is, so if that's one neural pathway, call it the unconscious highway, and we want to step into a new mindset, it requires of us some intentional, conscious methods of thinking and feeling in a different way. And it happens over a period of time. So we can now see that the brain shows lasting signs of change, and it peaks at that 35 to 42 day period. 42 days is 6 weeks. So I thought, why don't I create a 6-week program to help people retrain their brain away from survival-based thinking, which is your unconscious highway, and create a whole new conscious, more empowering mindset so you can really tap into your full human potential and be able to choose how you want to think and feel during the day. Because I promise you, if you wake up and you're already on the unconscious story, on that unconscious highway, is that the day you're going to work towards your goals?
Probably not.
Right? If instead you talked about that, that Monday morning feeling, how about we talk about that first day of vacation feeling, not the day when you arrive, but that next morning? Isn't that the best feeling where you wake up and you know you have nothing else here but to just relax? You have nowhere to be. You have no responsibilities. Isn't that the most joyous feeling when you get yourself that coffee and the breakfast, your first day you wake up on holiday? Well, what if you could wake up in that state of mind every day, feeling refreshed, feeling full of joy, feeling grateful, feeling abundant, feeling joyful and excited about your day? That's a conscious way of thinking. Now, if you're thinking and feeling all of those beautiful things, and you start thinking about your goals, either towards better health or creating more wealth or a career goal or starting that business, if you're in that mindset of, oh, I feel so good, this is amazing, I've never felt stronger, I feel peaceful, I feel like, is that the day to start your goals? You bet. Absolutely, 100%. And so I decided in the REWIRE system, I'm going to build a 6-week program to give people the tools to not only step into a new mindset, but to learn how to dismantle all of this old stuff, which I call, your unconscious thinking, your fear patterns. And really, they are your barriers to success. They are your barriers towards happiness and success. And if you remove the barriers, well, then you have much more possibility and much more power over your life and your days.
I love it. I mean, you can see my emotions. I'm just getting excited.
Build it up.
I mean, seriously, I'm getting pumped. But you talk about mindset, and really, it is a lot of shows that I put out there, and also like some of the stuff that I put on my social media is all about changing positivity mindset. It applies to me. That's how I reinforce my own, conviction with this stuff and change my own formula, meaning that I have to wake up and not think about the worst thing that's happening or, oh my God, it's Monday. I think about everything that's positive and think about it that way. And so a lot of people, sometimes they have that difficulty, not because they're not trying. Sometimes their surrounding, is a problem, because that's the other thing that's the other thing that I was going to ask you about is that, well, you can do all this great stuff, but if your environment, it is conditioning you to keep always feeling that same feel. I mean, your friends, your family, they're always like, oh my God, oh, how are we going to do this? And then you're absorbing all that stuff. You surround yourself with folks that are not actually aligned with your new mindset, or at least helping you change your mindset, because they're not in it.
Yes.
On the contrary, if you can change and rewire yourself to a system like this, you can probably influence the others to actually reset themselves. And now the whole bunch is actually, under the same gear and the same, level of energy. That changes the whole world. I mean, if we did that day in, day out, we'll change our lives, our families, our neighbors, our friends, and the rest is history. That's power. So, and I love what you said about the 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not overnight. It takes time to reset all the stuff. So yes. You wanted to say something before, I can.
Yeah, well, I think it's important as you're growing and evolving, it's important to surround yourself with a team of support. So yes. What that means is, as you're choosing to grow and evolve, and lots of people in the world of success talk will speak on this, whether it's Steve Harvey or Tony Robbins, is you have to surround yourself with people that support your growth. And the easiest way to do that is take them along on the ride with you. Just say, hey, I've just started this program. Why don't you do it with me? I've heard it's a game changer. We're going to be able to do. Going to be some people that say no, they want to stay stuck where they are. And the reason they stay stuck is because it's what they know is comfortable, and maybe they're not ready for change. And that's okay. We need to love people for who they are in their journey, but you also want to look out for who are those people in my life that will bring me energy, that are less toxic for me, and that will encourage me to reach for my dreams and my goals. Because if you don't have that, it's sort of, it's that crab in a bucket theory. You put a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one tries to climb out. What do the other crabs do? They don't encourage it and cheer it on. They try and back down. Yeah. Yes. And we as humans, we have people that do the same thing, right? People that don't understand what we're trying to do, our journey. So it's important, as we're looking to grow and evolve, that we surround ourselves with a strong team that can help us get there as well and stay there.
Thank you. And that's very powerful, because I think that message itself, I think you said well, the fact that, not everybody's going to join the journey, but I think as you evolve, I mean, there's a potential that you can become contagious enough to get the other guys up, throw them a rope and maybe just pull them up, you don't forget about them. But you're right. Not everybody has got the same pace, and sometimes it just takes some event to change their mind. And at least, but the other part is, people have to be facing the reality of life. I mean, time is one thing we do not have a lot of, and it runs out. And the minute that every second is no more, it's gone, it's not coming back. And you don't want to wait too long, because sometimes it could be too late and you don't know what that time is. And so it is also something to factor in. People that go into a career path, they just see the career. You said it. I mean, from the outside, everybody says, oh, she's gone here, she's gone that, top notch, whatever. But they don't know what the sacrifices, the things that you have gone through, and the realization of, wait a minute, stop. We need to do this. And you did it. Some people get to that point, but not everybody does. And thankfully, again, your work is going to helping people today. through the REWIRE. So let's I want to break that the REWIRE, if it is an acronym,
Yes.
let's break it down, because in the interest of time, I want to bring that to the folks listening.
Sure, thank you. Yes, so REWIRE, the REWIRE system is an acronym, and so it's 6 parts, 6 weeks, and it's a 6-week program to rewire the brain. You get to learn the science of happiness, and you get to learn 3 tools per week to balance out your 4-body system so that we can align back to happiness. And so the first R in REWIRE is relax and quiet the mind. Why is that important? Sounds so simple, but we all know what it's like to wake up. So if you're waking up on that unconscious highway again, what are those little voices in your head telling you? Not today, not today. Today's not the day to go hard on the diet. Today's not the day for CrossFit. Today's not the day to start that business. Well, we need to shift that inner dialogue. So in week 1, I don't even wait. We go straight into some techniques to learn mindfulness practice. So you can just start observing your thought patterns and observing your emotions and what's going on. And then we get straight into what are those 5 unconscious patterns and what are your particular fear patterns? Because I'm not going to wait until week 3 and 4. I want to remove your obstacles to success right away, so you can start to see them. And as you go through the 6-week program, more stuff will just show up. So you can start to see the parallels. We all know that feeling, for example, if you're in a relationship or you're in a meeting with a colleague and something goes awry, and all of a sudden you're reacting. You don't want to have that reaction. You don't want to say the things you're saying, but you can't for the life of you stop the train, right? You're on it, man. And you have to finish and you have to wait till it stops, and then you have to go and clean up. Well, what if instead you could be in charge of that and you could say, oh, I know exactly where this is coming from. I know where this is coming from. And so the next time an event shows up, you actually get a moment of pause where you get to say, you know what, in past I would have reacted like this, but I'm going to take a minute to cool off. I'm just going to process what I'm thinking and feeling right now, and I'm going to respond differently. So it gives you a lot more power back. So in week 1, we go straight into practices to quiet the mind. And you don't have to sit like a yogi and meditate. If you want to do a walking meditation, you could do that. But it's so, so, so important to quiet the mind, because it's retraining the brain back to balance. And why that is because we had, as I said, we evolved to be really good at survival. So we have a very strong stress response called the fight or flight response. And we have actually either forgotten, but I think we just never knew that our body actually has a natural calm response as well. And so just like a muscle in the gym, we've worked out our stress response so much that it's so heightened and so strong that every time my phone pings now, how many things are requiring my time, my energy, my attention when this phone pings? Oh my God, I have 3 inboxes. I have phone calls, I have text messages, I have WhatsApp calls. People can call me on Facebook, Instagram, and all the DMs and social channels. Every time that phone rings, I get stressed. I get a little trigger and my stress response goes up. And so we have to train back to balance. We have to train back to calm. So that's in week 1. In week 2, the E is all about learning how to eliminate the noise, but also how to balance out our energy body. So we are made of energy, atoms, if you will, and kind of like a battery, we don't have an infinite source of energy. We need to recharge. The easy stuff is sleep, but most people don't actually know what ego depletion is. And ego depletion doesn't refer to the ego in the world of positive psychology. It refers to the fact that we are energetic beings and we need to better balance what takes our energy and what replenishes our energy. Because what happens when you are depleted of energy? Yes, we know we feel tired, but what happens when you feel tired? You're not able to manage your emotions. You can bet that's when you act out and lash out and get angry because you're exhausted, right? If you have a ton of energy, you have far more capability to be able to respond to a situation in a more pragmatic and peaceful manner. So that's number 1. The second thing that goes when your energy is low is willpower. Out the door.
Yeah.
Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, are you excited about this is the day I'm going to start that diet or start the new exercise routine? And by 9 o'clock at night, when you haven't done it, where's your excitement then? It's out the window, right? So just learning how to manage yourself better with the right tools makes everything easier. Then in week 3, we go into, that's the W, and it's what do you need? So it breaks down that personal plan for what is happiness to you? What is authentically the things that you need to do in terms of hours per day, hours per week, in terms of social activity, every area of that life wheel, family and career, social community, intellectual stimulation, passion and purpose, money and finance, physical well-being. What are all of the things that you specifically need so that you can feel your best? Because here's what I came to realize in the coaching world is that your needs are non-negotiable. If you're a social person and you're in a relationship with someone that's antisocial, you're constantly going to be combative, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're not having your social needs met, after a little while, we start to feel stifled. We start to feel controlled. We start to feel cranky, irritable. That's just one example. Pile all of those things in one bucket, and over time, that actually translates into a very dissatisfying life. Beyond that, it can create physical illness in the body because we are meant to live our best life authentically who we are. And most of us don't even know what that recipe looks like. And so in week 3, we go into, okay, if you had to map out your ideal life, the things that really light you up and make you feel like you're thriving and fulfilled and excited every day, what does that look like? So that's in week 3. And then in week 4, so this is right now, we've removed your barriers to success. We've cleaned out all of the noise. We've balanced out your energy level. So you have more energy. You're already feeling more peaceful and relaxed. And now you also have a really clear idea on what you want to create in your life. And you can see now by looking at this plan that you created in week 3, what's missing, because you've never known. You've never known what really makes you happy. Now you can see it and you can compare it to your life and say, wow, if I just added in a few more of these things, removed a few more of these things, I can have a much more pleasant and exciting and adventurous life for myself. Okay, good. So what do? In week 4, that's the I in REWIRE, is we use visualization techniques and we go even deeper we went into your needs and we also go into what's important to you. These are your values. Now, again, it sounds simple, but most people don't design a life around the things that are important to them. So I'll give you an example. One of my top values is freedom and adventure. 2 of my top values. Freedom. Do you think I was happy going into an office for 20 years, Monday to Friday? Hell no. I hated that drive.
I don't think anyone is happy, but hey.
Right? But some people love it. I was excited when I got there. I loved the work, but being in a rigid environment didn't suit me well. Now I'm an entrepreneur. I make my own hours. My life is a lot more flexibility and freedom. I live on the beach. I can work from anywhere. Is that freedom? That's my life and my work aligned with freedom, because now I don't feel completely restricted. The number of life events I had to miss because I was working on a project deadline, that's all gone. Now I can choose. I have a lot more choice. That's one example. Another is, let's take the opposite example. Let's say you're a person that for some reason you crave stability and routine, and you are your happiest when you know the day is scheduled out in 15-minute chunks and nothing changes. And the day something happens that is spontaneous and shifts your schedule even a little bit, it throws you right off your game. Mm-hmm. Well, if you knew that stability and consistency were 2 big values for you, okay, then you can plan your life around that. And you can have conversations with your partner and with your team members to say, I work better and I do better when things are more structured. Is that okay with you? I understand it might not be your way of being, but how can we negotiate so that you have your needs met and me too? So we get into that into week 4 as well. Then week 5 is, okay, now we've learned all of these great tools. So the second R in REWIRE is repeat and rewire, because the brain learns through repetition. We want to dismantle that unconscious highway, right? So what are some of the tools we need to shift our inner dialogue back from I'm not lovable, I'm not enough, to I am absolutely certain and capable and deserving of everything I wish to create in my life. How do we shift that inner dialogue so that we stay in the zone, so we stay in an elevated mindset? And so you learn 3 tools to do that. And then in week 6, just because this is the way I'm wired, I said, let's go even bigger. You learn even more tools to stay in a high vibrating, powerful, elevated mindset. You learn the secret sauce to manifesting anything in your life, because we now have evidence that thought and feeling together can actually, with focused intention and focused thought, because thought is energy and we are energy. And if we're vibrating at the right frequency with the universe, and how to do that in a particular way, you can become an alchemist. You can learn how to manifest the most incredible things and attract them back into your life. And so that's extraordinary. And then because we have removed the obstacles to your success and now you have more possibility, what if we go even bigger? Most people wouldn't even dare to dream of it before. But now you've had 5 weeks practice of choosing and imagining a whole new life that's much more exciting, that has you really fulfilled and thriving. How about we take it up a notch? How about we elevate it even more? What do you want next? And so reaching for that next goal, reaching for that next bigger, that bigger raid.
Wow, I'm rewired already. Well, I mean, frankly, it's amazing. Now that you break it down, it sounds like simple. It is not, but it is. Meaning that the concept is something that you had to build together. But when you listen to it right now, like, oh, how did I not think of it that way? I think it's easy said than done, as they say, right? It's the ability to see it and kind of structure it into that format where it works.
Yes.
So that's a challenge. So
it's basically layer upon layer upon layer of tools where we're retraining the brain away from survival and towards happiness and abundance and better health and success. And then it's how to stay in the zone. And I wanted them to be simple. So they're not, say it's not rocket science, but it is neuroscience. So
it is.
They're simple tools, and they're simple because I needed them to be easy to follow. I needed them to be, able to give you a tool you can use in 10 minutes per day, because otherwise you're not going to use it. If a gym is a 30-minute drive from me, I'm not going to go. If it's within 10 minutes, I will go way more often, right? And life is the same way. I can't give you a prescriptive plan or a diet that you're not going to follow. I'd rather give you a set of tools that I know are easy to follow. And if I give you the education and the logic and the science behind why it's so powerful, what it does to your brain, your central nervous system, what it does in terms of you achieving your goals. So now I remember you had that 5% conscious mind, your goal setter, and your unconscious mind, which is the goal getter, working on separate teams. And now finally they're shaking hands and saying, okay, let's do this. That's a game changer.
I love it. So it's 6 weeks now. Is it like a full 6 weeks, or is it like a few hours a week? And this is virtual, or actually, I'm assuming you can do it virtually.
Yes.
That makes you.
Well, you can either do the book on its own, or the book is actually, we're launching a coaching program. So it's going to be pre-recorded video where it's going to be me going more in depth than the book went, because I'm going to teach you some really interesting, fun things. And then it's going to be 6 weeks of live coaching. So 2 hours per week for 6 weeks, where you get to jump on a call with me and we get to go through some fun exercises where you're learning how to put some of these tools in practice. And you get to also, it's a Q&A. So you get to ask questions and not just learn from me, but learn by example through other people in the group as well. Because, if we've ever done any sort of group work, if you've been into a week-long retreat or a weekend retreat like a Tony Robbins, you're learning from other people's examples, and you think, oh, I didn't even think of that for me, but yes, I can see myself in that pattern of behavior. So I think that one was mine as well. And I didn't get it when I just read the book, but now that we're talking it through, it makes sense. So now you have both. You have the tools in the book and the audiobook, the workbook, and then you have live coaching as well. And that for me is the most fun, because I love working with people and just seeing them come alive.
Well, I mean, again, that's your career path. I mean, you've
Yeah.
been pumping people, and you took it into the book format so people can read. You reach more people that way. Now you're also doing it through the podcast and the shows, which I think the message is actually getting further out. And now you're bringing it to home, where you're actually literally going to be talking to people and just guiding them through it. I think that's the most powerful piece of this.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just listen to you for this hour. It's been real. I mean, I heard quite a bit, and this is a topic that's dear to me because I really live and thrive in terms of day in day out to try to be better and always
Mhm.
do something and help people, and just keep the energy positive. Now, again, we know life is throws you a lot of curveballs and a lot of different things, but you got to do what you got to do, and but something like this does help and guide people. And some people may not have found the formula. Today, I
Mhm.
think we just did. I mean, there's so many ways to get there, but I think
Sure.
you have made it, and I love the actual acronym REWIRE. It's just as I said, we got to rewire your thinking and towards better, toward happiness. And 6 weeks to happy is really the name of the book,
Yes.
right? And that's available on, I guess, Barnes and Nobles and
Yeah.
Amazon everywhere.
Yeah.
So
It's available everywhere, but also you can just go to 6weekstohappy.com, download the free ebook so you can understand your personal plan to happiness. That's a gift to your audience. And from there, you can buy the book and sign up for the coaching program as well. Life is too short, honestly. I don't want another person feeling lonely in a relationship or walking into a room full of people and feeling like they're alone or not being able to work towards their goals. If you want to get on the road towards happiness and success, just go to 6weekstohappy.com and start your journey today.
I love that. That's it. We're not going to go further. Zahra, it was great having you on the show, and really some powerful stuff that you covered. I think people watching and listening right now, they're definitely gonna be rewired just thinking about it. And yes, folks, please do check out the description of the show. The link will be there. Click on it. Go to the site, and change your life. Begin the happiness journey today. And I think Zahra has got the right way for you to make that happen. And hopefully you can also guide other folks and guide them to the same path and change one life at a time. And just let's keep it contagious. So Zahra, I know we're coming out to the end of the show. Any words of wisdom you want to just leave with our audiences today?
Yeah, I think when most people think of change, they think it's big and overwhelming and daunting, but it doesn't have to be. Honestly, if you just understand that this is actually something universal, that we are all just human and we are all trying to figure this out at the same time, I promise you, just 10 minutes per day, and you will start to feel lighter, more peaceful, yet more focused, productive, happier, healthier, and more abundant in every single way. And your life will go from 1 to 10, from 0 to 100 in no time at all. All it takes is a few weeks. And I think that was the biggest learning for me is you don't have to make massive changes. Sometimes just a tiny little course correction is all it takes. And I think most people are living tired, and I want people to live in a really inspired way instead. And it doesn't take much, and it's not anything to be afraid of. It's the simplest little changes. I put all of the top 18 strategies into this book. And so all you have to do is 10 minutes per day and you can get there easily.
Wow. Listen, it's only 6 weeks, right? I mean, it's not a lot. And really, we spend a lot of weeks in life that we don't do anything. And, you can go to college, do a lot of different things, and it still may not be as fulfilling, at least not changing and get you to happiness. So, folks, there you have it. Those are great words and really powerful stuff that we can take to the bank. Zahra, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been, true honor. And folks, thank you for watching and listening with us here on R.E.W.I.R.E and the iHealth channel. And I'm your host, R.E.W.I.R.E. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic. Bye for now.